Well, I think we can kind of go ahead and get started. I think people are still kind of coming into the room. And again, thank you for joining us. We're here with Jason B. Blank to discuss the various ways his top-rated criminal defense firm utilizes PracticePanther to manage his complex cases, how it handles staff collaboration, and really integrates essential processes into one platform for his firm. So before we get too far into things today, I did want to discuss several housekeeping notes with everyone. First, we are going to be recording this conversation today, so you're going to receive a copy of this in your inbox by end of day Friday, so just know that that's coming. We're also offering a Q&A session at the end of this webinar. So as questions arise kind of throughout our discussion, please feel free to drop those into that Q&A feature. You'll actually find it at the bottom of your Zoom screen, a little Q&A box. And then also, just a little side note, we're going to be sharing some QR codes at the end of this session. So I recommend maybe having your cell phone handy. It's an easy way to access those links. So wanted to kind of let you know about that as well. So I thought today we would get started by a quick introduction of the speakers. So starting with me, my name is Libby Luff, and I am the Strategic Partnerships Manager here at PracticePanther. And that ultimately means that I get to collaborate with state and local bars, with legal organizations really across the country, and with great customers here like Jason, to really help support attorneys on really the effective ways they can efficiently manage their firms. So I come to you with about 15 years of experience in a combination of marketing, sales, and business operation roles. And this experience has really led me to help turn your business challenges into some untapped opportunities. And then joining me today is Jason B. Blank, as I mentioned. He's partner and co-founder of Haber Blank out of South Florida. And I actually had the pleasure of meeting Jason at the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers' 37th annual event this year. And it was our first time really engaging with this group, and it became really clear about how valuable the event is for attendees to really stay up to date on the latest trends, tips, and news in Florida criminal law. Awards and recognitions were for specific accomplishments in criminal defense were given. And it's also a chance for the community of lawyers to kind of come together, reconnect, share some laughs, a lot of laughs, I remember.
A lot of laughs.
Yeah, and have a memorable time together. The event was marked by a leadership transition, with Jason officially stepping into his role as the association's president. So I immediately was able to see Jason's really true leadership capabilities come through. From his experiences in the public defender's office in Broward County to launching his own firm with Jason Haber, Jason's passion for improving the lives of criminal defense attorneys throughout Florida is evident in the work he's done to make a meaningful impact within that organization, with the Florida bar as well as his own firm. And so some quick recognition, as he received over the last decade, he was given the AV Preeminent rating from Martindale-Hubbell. He's listed as one of Florida's legal elite by Florida Trend magazine. He's also named as Florida's a super lawyer, which is a pretty awesome designation. I hope that's on your business cards.
I get a cape with that one.
Awesome, awesome. And he was also recognized as one of Fort Lauderdale's Illustrated magazine's top lawyers. So Jason co-founded Haber Blank in 2013, and he's been passionately defending his clients' rights ever since. With over 18 years of experience in criminal law, he's a highly respected attorney who effectively leverages technology to organize case details and streamline his practice. For the past 5 years, he's relied on PracticePanther to enhance his firm's operations. And I'm really excited to talk with him today about his journey, how his career has evolved, and the ways really technology has supported his firm, his cases, and his clients over the years. So I kind of want to hand it over to Jason for a moment so he can share some really key insights about his law firm, Haber Blank.
Thanks, Libby. And on top of all of those accomplishments that many of you may have or have heard of, my mommy also says that I'm just the best child in the world. So, that's a key accolade from a Jewish mother. But as Libby said, thank you so much for joining us. It means a lot to me that you're here to hear about a little bit about me and Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, but also about PracticePanther, which is a product that I genuinely, love using and has helped my business. But a little bit about the firm. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary, and I came into this firm after working for almost 8 years with the Broward County Public Defender's Office. And as I'm guessing many of you know, government law work is tough, and it, gives you a certain mindset of the need to triage cases and how to keep things straight as you have a caseload that's much larger than you should have and often more difficult to deal with than maybe it should be. But that's the nature of the game, right? And so when I came into private practice, one thing I realized very quickly was some of the vehicles that I had for that organization with the government, they used a system called Stack back when I was with the public defender's office to keep my cases straight, to keep my notes on my conversations with various clients and witnesses. I didn't have. My firm used a very old, outdated case management platform at the time. Jason Haber, my law partner, got it when he was a solo practitioner, and it was like working off of a DOS, based system, and it was hell. And so, I worked it because at the time I was still building a practice and using paper files and things like that. But ultimately realized that technology was needed, and it was needed as an advancement in my firm, but not just for me as a criminal defense lawyer, but because we do other things. My law partner doesn't practice criminal defense. I do. I'm the only lawyer in the firm that does. But one of the things that makes our firm work so well is diversity, right? Diversity in the types of practice areas that we handle. My law partner and our associates handle family law matters and estate planning and probate matters, as well as civil litigation matters. And so what we quickly realized was whatever case management platform we used, it had to be able to work across the board. And that was one of the things that drew us to PracticePanther. And I could tell you that once we made that transition, we were able to see the difference with our firm. And we were able to then grow and be more efficient. And as you all know, time is money. It's an old cliche, but it's true, right? If you're spending time doing billing or handwriting on your legal pads or whatever it is, you are wasting time, which in turn could be money. So it was really important to us, and it worked really well. But our firm has grown a little bit over the years. We've gotten a few more attorneys that have come and gone over the years with us, and we've grown out in the size of our practice, and in part thanks to our work with PracticePanther.
Awesome. And nice little segue for me. I appreciate that, Jason. And I think it's good to point out, the overview of the diversity of your firm. And there are probably people joining us today who obviously practicing criminal defense, but may have multiple practice areas that they are working on as well. And that's really kind of a specialty for us. And so for those who are joining the call and may not be as familiar with PracticePanther, as myself or as Jason, I wanted to share some of the benefits that really set us apart when it comes to helping manage your practice. So we're the all-in-one legal practice management solution that's really focused on helping small and medium-sized firms across all those practice areas. We strive to be really the most intuitive and easiest to use software on the market that can really customize the specific needs of your firm. Lawyers are, hopefully using practice management software every day to make your work easier. It should be pretty to look at. It should be simple to use. And so with PracticePanther, you can enjoy that seamless case management, linking your contacts, your matters, and various information, whether you're in the office or on the go. You can automate your repeatable processes so you know what tasks need to be completed. Tags offer law firms a comprehensive view of that crucial client and matter detail. And finally, we offer some billing and built-in compliant payment processes. It's seen as a big perk for our customers because we want to really help ensure that you're getting paid quickly for the work that you do. And so we'll be reviewing, a lot of these benefits today with Jason. And I promise this is going to be the last slide for me. We're going to be quickly pivot to Jason and he can talk about his experiences, but wanted to kind of quickly highlight what our discussion is going to entail today. And we're going to start by really talking about Jason's path to that successful private practice. We'll dive into his journey, including his experiences in legal practice management software over the years, while focusing on improvements he's made to really kind of help his firm become more efficient. These improvements have allowed him and Jason Haber to focus on those higher value tasks like client services. That exceptional service he provides is a key factor in his outstanding client reviews. You can review these 5-star reviews all over the internet, on his website, some really great testimonials, and those efficiency is going to be a really big key there. We're going to talk about the ways you can leverage technology to manage those complex criminal defense cases, and that includes how you're handling these complex cases and how they present these unique challenges. With the right systems, you can simplify your processes by offering these customizable tools that meet each case's specific needs. It helps you organize evidence and streamline those legal tasks. We'll talk about how enhancing communication and team collaboration is essential for keeping everyone aligned and coordinated, regardless of the team's location or the complexity of the case. And we'll explore the benefits of billing and payment integration and how Jason manages these processes to really simplify transactions and ensure timely compensation for his work. We'll wrap today's discussion with some lessons learned over the years and some advice he has for some fellow criminal defense lawyers. And I'll review a few quick slides highlighting the features discussed from our conversation. Again, we plan to leave time at the end for questions you may have, so feel free to kind of use that Q&A box throughout. And again, last note before getting started, remember to keep your phones handy as we will share some QR codes at the end for important information as we kind of wrap the session today. So I'm going to kind of stop sharing my screen and really that way we can kind of focus on everybody here. And then fantastic. And then let's kind of get started with that kind of easy softball first question. You know, I really appreciate you joining us, spending the lunch hour discussing your experiences as a partner for Haber Blank. And I know I shared some brief information in the beginning about you, but before we dive into the details, can you share a little bit more about yourself and your journey as a criminal defense attorney?
Yeah, sure. So I am a Jersey boy, born and raised, grew up on the Jersey Shore. And after going to college at GW in Washington, D.C., took a year off and realized, and I kind of want to be by the beach year round. So came down to Florida, drove around the entire state looking at law schools, trying to figure out where I thought I might want to end up. I got accepted to Nova Southeastern University here in Fort Lauderdale. Really enjoyed it there. And for anybody who's local, I know it's Davie. I'll get all kinds of guff for actually saying Fort Lauderdale, but whatever. Those people who aren't from around here don't know the difference. But went to Nova, and when I was there, I did my certified legal internship with the public defender's office here in Broward. And during my exit interview, they said, "So we're going to start you off in a misdemeanor division, and we're going to give you a caseload. By the way, do you want a job?" And I said, "Can I think about it for a day?" And they said, "No." And I said, "All right, well, yeah, I'll take it." Market's kind of on the downturn back in 2006. So started at the public defender's office and just fell in love with criminal defense work. Truly did. There's something about fighting for the most essential rights of an American citizen that is just intoxicating, and being able to make unique legal arguments and really having purpose, I thought was great. So I loved it. Continued on, and then when I went into private practice, branched out a little bit into some civil areas, as I kind of said, hey, it's hard. I mean, many of you out there know it, but there are very few solely criminal practitioners anymore. It's hard to make a buck doing just, criminal defense work. So many of us out there practice in other areas of law as well. I've been lucky enough to have kept my criminal practice as my primary practice, especially partnering up with Haber, who does the civil stuff. I can just kind of make that rain and push it off into his office and not worry about it. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
I mean, I could go on and on, but really, who wants to hear more?
No, I think that's great, and nice to get a job right out of college. I mean, even if you don't get much of a time to say yes or no, but it's great to have that right out of college. So that's a nice little benefit. And
Yeah, law school. Out of law school, out of college, I worked at some bars, and trust me, I got
yeah.
those jobs, and enjoyed them. But out of law school, yeah, to get a gig right out of it, and not have to worry about it was nice. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, kind of getting started on your path to that successful private practice, I did want to kind of highlight your career path, and starting in the public defender's office and then moving to a private practice. It's a jump that not a lot of people necessarily make. What were some of the key lessons you learned early on that shaped your approach to running your own law firm, and what your practice is really focused on today?
Yeah, a lot of public defenders, when they leave, they'll either go work for a firm on the civil side, doing insurance defense or PI work. They'll jump into a firm with other people, but I liked the autonomy. When I was a public defender, I was making pennies. We really weren't making anything, even less than what they make now. And one of the best ways we used to laugh about, the best way to give yourself a raise as a public defender is to leave work early. So I did that a lot. If there was something I wanted to do, my work was getting done, I'd head out. You take a break, you jump ship a little bit early to go out to that happy hour, to go catch that movie, or go to a concert across the state, whatever it was. And I loved that autonomy, the ability to kind of do what I wanted when I wanted, and still know that I was working and getting my work done and making sure that my clients were taken care of. That work-life balance was very important to me. And so when I went into private practice, I knew I wanted to work for myself. I did not want to work for anyone else. But I also knew that I loved the camaraderie of working in an office with friends. A lot of the people at the public defender's office, and for those of you who have been public defenders in the past, you know, it's not just a job, it's a family. Generally, the criminal defense bar is a family, but especially in the PD's offices. So I knew I wanted to partner up with someone that I knew and liked and trusted. And Jason Haber was a friend of mine from law school. We had talked over the years about, partnering up, but when the time came that it was right, I reached out to him and said, "Hey, you still want to do this thing?" And he said, "Sure, let's make it work." So we did, and here we are, 11 years later, still rocking and rolling, and happy to be able to say that I've never had to worry about my lights being kept on, and never had to worry about paying our staff. So we're doing okay.
Yeah. Well, and I would imagine kind of bringing in some of that experience from the public defender's office was really beneficial. What you learned by using the technology and how they use the technology in that office, and kind of brought that in, and kind of focusing back to Haber Blank and more, ways you were efficiently learning how to manage your firm, and what you brought in from that public defender's office. I'd be interested to know how your approach to using tech has evolved, since you started out to kind of where you are today.
Sure. My partner comes from when he came into law school, he went to work for a solo practitioner. He was the first associate that guy had. He then went out into private practice on his own, hung his own shingle. He never had a firm experience. When I'm working in one of the largest public defenders offices in the state, it's a giant law firm, right? With, a couple hundred lawyers, or whatever the number is. It was a lot. So what seemed like bureaucracy of the office was really just an organizational structure to ensure that the machine was running properly and kept running efficiently. So as I came into private practice, I started looking at ways that we did things at the public defender's office that maybe at the time I thought was a pain in the ass, or even logging every time I had a phone call with somebody, or every time I did a jail visit, or every time I had a meeting with a client. And then I realized it was very helpful, because as I went back in my notes, as I went, to look at what I did last time we spoke, or if I was out of the office and I got a call and said, "Hey, Mr. Smith is here wanting to meet with you. What he's asking about this," I could find a way, or say, go look at at the time, go look at my notes in the file on the left-hand side, the left-hand flap, 3 pages down should be my notes from our last meeting. You can see what I wrote. And my staff would have to go, my assistant would go do that, or our law clerk, or whoever it was. And I missed some of the technological abilities that I had at the public defender's offices to keep track of that, to keep track of my progress on the case, and to keep track of that interaction. And I found that it was a struggle at times to be as efficient as I wanted to. And I would try to impart these things on my partner and on our associates and our law clerks and paralegals to say, look, we can do this better and in turn make more money. And it took us a little while to get to the point that we could implement that, but the day came that we were able to do that, and we slowly but surely started implementing those technological advances to ensure that the firm as a whole, not just me with my clients, but the firm as a whole, was able to kind of run a little bit smoother, which of course makes more dollars in the pocket.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense, and it's interesting that you kind of bring in the things that you did in the public defender's office, or even what you wish you maybe could have done. And when you're first kind of got started in practice, I know you weren't necessarily using PracticePanther. We don't have to mention any other software, but what were some of the things that you missed or really wanted to have that maybe your current system wasn't helping you achieve?
Something that was easy, something that was simple to use. The system that they were using was like really, quote unquote, good at the time for one thing, which was the ability to do our billing on the civil side. But as far as, a true case management platform, it was terrible. I couldn't even figure out how to leave a note on there, or how to look up a witness, or how to look up contact information, or, adding somebody took 15 steps and it looked terrible. It was like clunky. So the system we were using was just crap. And, we were looking for something that was more modern, easy to use, whether I was on my phone, whether I was in front of my desktop, whether I was on my laptop in Hawaii, wherever it was, and that everybody could use, whether they were in college or were a 15-year lawyer without having to go and get another degree to figure out. And so that was a big challenge of ours. And as you know, we realized the time had come, we started looking across the universe for the best platform we could find that we thought would suit our needs and have all the capabilities we wanted.
Yeah. Well, and we never want to wish somebody to, have wish for those paper files again. That's definitely not where we want technology to be. We want it to be, like you said, easy to use, get in the platform and be able to use it starting day one. And so when you were kind of reflecting on this time when you first realizes you needed to make that switch and explore these different options, what advice would you give to lawyers who are also looking to improve their systems and processes to better manage their firm and handle their day-to-day either needs or their challenges that they're running into?
Yeah, especially if you're on the criminal side, I think that you want a platform that you can easily flip through, because if you're at the lectern in court, or if you're sitting in line waiting for your case to be called and you realize, oh man, I don't remember who that person is or where's that witness, you want to be able to pull it up quickly and easily navigate to that piece of information that you want. I think it's also really important. One thing that I found on the criminal side was organizationally to be able to kind of integrate my file, which I keep on a secure file manager, kind of in line with our case management system, which is PracticePanther, right? So that documents can be put and attached onto various events, whether it's a calendar event, a hearing. We can integrate that, together so that I can address anything that comes up at any time from wherever I am. And more importantly, anybody can, right? So my law partner can, my paralegal can. And those types of ease of use things, I think, were really, really key to us.
Yeah, I think I've heard that from other
Maybe I
precedents
completely
as
missed your
well.
question. I don't know. I might have just got off. I just love it. I can't help it.
No, no, I love that. I think, that comes up a lot, especially when you're in court and maybe you're seeing other people bring in these giant briefcases and having to flip through files and things like that versus, what you can find quickly on your phone when you're looking through the different documents and notes and things
Well,
like that.
and let
So,
me also say this. Let me also say this. I mean, I don't want to pretend like we're still living in the 90s, right? A lot of people are electronic now. A lot of people use their iPads. A lot of people use this stuff. But one thing that I realize with a lot of my colleagues is many of them, and maybe many of you, are either solo practitioners or maybe just kind of two people in an office. Don't don't minimize the value of a good case management program for you, even as a solo practitioner, because whether you have your iPad there or whether you have your laptop with you or your phone, when you're in court, it's going to make you be more efficient. And really, we all know efficiency is key. Efficiency allows you to spend the time of your day focusing on your clients as opposed to your practice, right? We don't want to spend time on our practice as much as we do on our clients. And that's kind of why we do what we do. If I spent all the time on my practice as a businessman, which I am, but if I spent all that time, then I'm not going to have time to do what I love, which is why we're here. So I think it's important that no matter whether you're in a firm that has 5 lawyers, 50 lawyers, 500 lawyers, or it's just you, don't minimize the value of a case management, program like PracticePanther in making you be a better lawyer, because the time it will open up for you and the information that you will be able to easily toggle through is going to make you be able to do your job better. So I hope that, I want to make that clear as well.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. You don't want to spend your time scheduling appointments and,
Right.
emailing back and forth on, did you fill out this paperwork or is this done on time? That you want to focus on that higher value work and really help your clients, defend their cases.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, and from kind of where you're starting out to where you are today, let's get into the ways you leverage technology for those complex criminal defense cases. And a couple weeks ago, we started to plan this webinar. And really, one of the most surprising pieces of information you shared is really how complex each case can be when it comes to the data you need to collect. You mentioned that cases can regularly take up to maybe 10 terabytes of information, which is an overwhelming amount of information, and
You should be
includes
the one that has to look through it.
yeah. And those, including up to 150, maybe even more witnesses. So given the amount of information your firm handles for just criminal defense, again, you handle multiple areas or your law firm does, how does Practice Panther help you stay organized and ensure that all of these important case details are easily accessible when you need them?
Yeah. So one of the things that I like most about PracticePanther, and there are other case management programs out there. I mean, I keep calling it a case management program. I don't know. That's how I view it, right? But there are other programs and platforms out there that have similar capabilities, but none that we found were as easy as PracticePanther for this purpose. You know, I handle a bunch of RICO cases and drug trafficking cases at the state level. I don't do too much federal work here and there, but with a lot of these RICO cases and a lot of these RICO prosecutions, there are a ton of witnesses and a ton of surveillance and a ton of documents and reports, especially if it's a downgraded case from a federal investigation. And one way that we have tried to keep organized and figure out, you know, if I have an agent on multiple cases, which case we're dealing with, so I can keep things straight, because as beautiful as this head is, a little shiny today with the light, but as beautiful as it is, it can only keep so much up the, you know, at the front of it. Is the capability to import every witness as a contact and then link them to the case matter. So I can click on a case in PracticePanther and see all of the witnesses there. And if a guy, you know, I say, gosh, you know, I think that Agent, you know, Rinkowitz, that name looks familiar. Where did I have him? I can click on his contact and see all of the other matters, all the other cases that I've had with him in the past and be like, oh yeah, he was on the, you know, D. Smith case. And, you know, I remember I beat the crap out of him on the stand in a motion to suppress on a wiretap on that one. So let me see what he did wrong here, you know, and being able to make those links as I'm going through discovery and as I'm initially reviewing a case is spectacular. It also makes it very easy for my staff when I say, I want to set the depositions of these 5 or these 10 or these 20 witnesses over these dates. They can just go in instead of having to go find the witness list, find the precipice that the state buried in one of these files in the 10 terabyte hard drive they sent me, or, you know, whatever on the evidence.com link or whatever it is. They can just go into PracticePanther because we have a clerk that inputs all those witnesses into PracticePanther. They can pull that witness and automate the subpoena and get it set, you know, pretty quickly. Or the notice of deposition for those of you in Florida that know we don't have to subpoena law enforcement officers. You're right. I keep trying to tell them this. But, you know, it enables them to more efficiently do their job and run with that. We also are able to link a lot of the discovery, you know, or specific files. When I have a deposition set, when we do that calendar entry, I can attach the report right to that calendar entry or that supplement. So I don't have to go searching through my discovery file to figure out which one is that cop's, right? When I click on the calendar entry for that depo, I go log into Zoom and I have that report attached to the calendar entry. So we're able to use the technological, you know, communication within PracticePanther to make the practice smoother, to make it much easier to keep track of things. Because as you all know, it's hard enough to keep track of a 150-page discovery in an aggravated battery case. But if you have a RICO case or a trafficking case with 20 co-defendants and 14 lawyers and all that, organization is key to be able to understand what's going on and make sure you can figure out what actually applies to your guy versus everybody else's. So we found it very, very helpful.
Yeah, and then do you keep kind of like individual like notes on different matters and clients too that is helpful for you to kind of it seems like the customization of adding specific things, you know, that you've learned in a case that you've learned from a specific, maybe it's a witness or even a client, kind of adding those, you know, features in have been really nice.
Absolutely. Once we add the witness into the client, or excuse me, into a contact, you know, like I said, if I beat this guy up on a stand on a motion to suppress, or I know that he has a tendency to all of a sudden smell weed with every car he approaches, I'm going to make that note in that contact. So when I see him pop up on the case and I see him as a new witness, I'm immediately going to go look and go, what's my history on this guy? Maybe I know that he has IA issues, right? So I've pulled the public records, gotten the IA is internal affairs, Libby, just in case. You get the IA records, we'll pull it in. I'm going to attach it to that contact. So I don't have to go and do a 119 every time somebody comes across my desk. I'm going to go and have that historical record of all the times he's done something wrong or all the times that he's, you know, messed up along the way and be able to easily have that at my fingertips. It's very helpful. Very, very helpful.
Awesome. That's great
And also,
information.
and I'm sorry, let me cut you off, but also for impeachment, right? I will link a note to the prior matter I might have had him on and be able to pull a transcript or be able to pull whatever motion it was to be able to use to impeach him in this case here. So it's really helpful to simplify that process as opposed to having to say, which case was that again? Which for years I did, and I'm sure many of you do. You then go back through your files, you're clicking through, going, was that kid? No, not that kid, you know, somebody else. So it's helpful in that regard.
Yeah. Well, and kind of building on that, you know, from the initial software you use, launching your firm, maybe even kind of going back to the early days when you go, oh, that one file and that one cabinet in that one room, that transition to PracticePanther several years ago, how has that transition changed the way you and your firm operate on a day-to-day? I'm curious to how it affects your processes and the way your team handles cases, manages tasks, and utilize those tags.
Yeah, so we really started trying to implement the capabilities of PracticePanther during the pandemic, right? When we were on lockdown, when all of us were remote, we as a team who was our staff here at that time, tried to figure out the best ways to implement and utilize the capabilities of PracticePanther because it was a new way of practicing, right? We all knew it. Like we weren't in the office together, we weren't there, we weren't getting our data the same way, we weren't looking at our files the same. So we started to do it that way. Like so many firms over the last 4 years, we've had a lot of staff turnover. A lot of our paralegals have come and gone over the years, legal assistants, clerks, associates. Not because they don't like working here, but for various reasons or another, whatever it may be. It's hard to find good staff that sticks around. I'm sure you guys all understand it. And what has been extremely helpful for us is the continuity of information through PracticePanther. Being able to know that somebody new can step in, immediately watch the tutorials on PracticePanther. We hire somebody, the first thing I email them is the list of tutorials for PracticePanther. This is how you use the platform. Watch these 7 videos or 5 videos, whatever it is. This is going to tell you how we operate. And they watch kind of how to use the program. And then they step in and they go, oh, it's just like the video. It's very easy. And they know what was done even the day before they got there without having to ask 15 people and figure it out, because they're able to easily go into the system and see what was done and see what's next. We've been able to use the workflow option through PracticePanther, which is a simple setting. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on this one, but we've been able to use the workflow setting so that if a case is halfway, done, somebody new can pop in and say, what was the last thing done? Okay, here's where we're at on the list. We're going to work our way down the chart. We're going to keep going. So the workflow, portion has been spectacular. And also, if I have something that needs to be done, I can log it as a task in PracticePanther. That individual is going to get a note of it, and they're going to be able to go back and see what have they completed, what's maybe, oh, I forgot about, and I got to get this done now, or what did Jason send to me now that I need to look at and try to figure out how to fit in before Friday. So the task option is also a great way for us to assign things to various staff members, including ourselves, and keep track of kind of where we're at. It's your to-do list, right? It's your checklist. But it enables us to communicate back and forth with people without having to take 10 or 15 minutes for them to come sit in my office every day. It's okay, break out your pad and let's figure out what we talked about last week, what you did, what haven't you heard back about, who hasn't gotten back to you, what do we need to follow up on? It's just a simple, continuous way for us to communicate with our people.
Yeah, and I love how you mentioned that continuity. I love that reference because I think that's a really great point, and being able to easily find out, through a very color-coded, pretty to use, this hasn't been done, this is completed, hey, this is overdue, we really need to focus on this, without having the constant back and forth of, hey, what do I need to do next? Which really breaks into that time. It may not take but 30 seconds or a minute to update them, but that interrupts your day, it interrupts their day, and then kind of allow that, keep that flow like you mentioned.
And my assistant really gets mad with how much red overdue things I always have on my task list because I am the worst offender at not going, yeah, I did that. And she's like, you're yelling at me for not doing this, but you haven't done any of this. I'm like, okay, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Well, and it seems like collaboration is a big part of how your team operates, which I think is really, really great. It seems like it's a really great firm to work with.
It
And I
is.
know
If anybody's looking for a job, let me know.
that, hey, nice little plug here. So, and I know that you mentioned, especially during COVID, weren't necessarily all in the office. I know you're primarily mostly on site these days. But also you kind of practice out of New Jersey. You've been kind of up here in the Northeast joining me. I'm in the Philly area. How has PracticePanther kind of helped you and your team work seamlessly across the board, no matter whether who's available in the office, or maybe even if you're in court or things like that? How does that collaboration really help?
Yeah, so a couple different ways. So first of all, as you mentioned, I'm also licensed in New Jersey, and so I practice up there as well. But I also love to travel, and part of being able to travel so much is that I can't just take off. I sometimes have to work while I'm traveling, and so for those of us who are moving around during a work week or during a work day, the again, the information flow contained within PracticePanther and the ability to modify easily and adjust and find data and utilize that to work your way through the workflow or the templates that we have is essential. So that no matter whether I'm at my desk here in Florida or I'm on a cruise ship in the middle of the Caribbean somewhere, which is true, I can log in, still look at what tasks have been completed or maybe are pending, address things that I can on the case, and also continue to assign things so that the work keeps going. Even if I'm not in the office, the work keeps going. It never stops. And I don't mean that to sound daunting, but that way we can keep moving our cases forward, keep defending, our clients, keep addressing things that need to be addressed, whether it's a state attorney who hasn't gotten back to me on when to schedule a deposition, or a witness that I'm trying to track down with one of my investigators, or just some, discovery that I need to review. Maybe I need to review an affidavit or something of that nature, but it keeps going. And so those reminders are there. But additionally, as we know, especially in today's day and age, it's hard to get staff to be in an office 7 days a week. Just is. Many people work remote, want to continue working from home, want to continue working remotely. It's a challenge. It's a battle that we have had in our firm recently, but you know what? Times they are changing, right? So we have to give into it a little bit. And what we have found is that PracticePanther has allowed us to accept the need for some of our staff, our paralegals, to work remotely. We have, through PracticePanther, been able to ensure that they are doing the work needed to be done, again, with tasks, with calendaring, with the data entry and the workflows, so that they can't pretend that they're doing, either they're doing the work or they're not. And if they're not checking that box that something's completed, I'm going to get on them for it. So, we don't track time and we don't have, one of the mouse shaker things. Like that's not how we make sure that our remote employees are working. It's just making sure that the job is getting done, that the work is getting done. And PracticePanther makes it really easy for us to do that because we can see if something was done, if something was uploaded, if a hearing was scheduled, if a task was completed, we could see it. And because it's so user friendly to click that box or navigate around, there's nobody who said, "Oh, I didn't know how to do that." Right.
Mhm.
Similarly, if I'm in court, the continuity of, hey, maybe that state attorney's office just got back to my assistant in the morning while I'm sitting in one courtroom. So when I go over to that other courtroom and the judge says, "Well, don't you have deposition scheduled?" I can quickly pull up my calendar or pull up the task, see the note that my assistant left there saying, "I reached out to them 4 times. They haven't gotten back. Here are the dates I emailed them. Here's what I said." I said, "Judge, it's not on us. It's on the state." Big surprise, but it's on the state. They're not communicating back with us. And here are the date. Well, Mr. Blank, maybe you should reach out to them again. Judge, I've reached out to them 4 times already. We reached out this date and this time, this date and this time, And so it's enabled me to kind of show the judge, look, we're not messing around here. And to show the courts, we're not messing around here. We're working. I could prove it. I could show it. And I'll say this also. I talked about it a little bit earlier about taking notes on conversations with clients. I still take court-appointed cases. I don't need to. I don't do it for the money. I really do it because it's my way of giving back. I'm sure many of you do, and it's just an old PD way, right? We want to take care of the indigent defendants because they are entitled to as good of a defense as anybody else. But with indigent defendants often come Nelson hearings. Libby, that's the type of hearing where they want to fire me. They don't like me for whatever reason, or they accuse me of doing something, or maybe not doing something that I did, or not talking to them about certain things. And in those instances where we have to go to those hearings, I like having notes on my conversations with my clients, so that if they say, "Mr. Blank, never talked to me about X, Y, or Z," I can simply look back at my notes and say, "Yes, we did. We had that conversation." And so being able to keep track of my conversations with my clients or with witnesses, or when a parent calls me yelling and screaming, "You don't see my son ever, you don't go to the jail." I go, "Actually, I saw him 4 times in the last 2 months, and here's, whatever." So having those records enable me to keep a regulated practice with my clients and their families so that everybody is clear on what is and isn't done. And I can also look on the flip side, say, "You know what, you're right. I haven't seen your son in 2 weeks. I'm going to go see him tomorrow out at the jail," whatever it is. But I can, keep track of all of that. And I think that type of data is also really good to give your reputation the boost that you need in the community, with the courts, with defense lawyers, and of course with clients. So I love those capabilities to be able to pull up no matter where I am and, follow up on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it seems like the overwhelming theme there is you get to provide your receipts, yeah,
That's right.
and for everything you do. And allows you to say, be a professional law firm, organized, and, impress your clients, impress the people you're working with, which I think is also kind of a nice benefit. And I do love how you mentioned our keyword of cruise ships. This is our time. You need to take a vacation. This is our kind of public service announcement for a half a
Right.
second. So
Yes. Take a cruise. Let me know if you're going. I'm happy to join.
um,
And just one other thing, there's another capability on PracticePanther. And one of the things about PracticePanther is there's so many ways that you can integrate it into your practice. I want to be very candid. I don't do everything. We don't run our entire practice through PracticePanther yet, but it's just implementation. But we love the ability, Libby, to automate some of the processes, like sending out our engagement agreements through PracticePanther to be e-signed by our clients, allowing them to pay invoices directly by clicking a link that automatically generates, through PracticePanther, and even the ability for clients to have a portal so that they can go in and look at documents and look at stuff. We candidly don't use that as much as we should. That's kind of the next thing that we're really looking to implement is the client portal, but it is amazing how much we can offer our clients to keep them on top of their case. And they love that. I mean, every time we've used one of these automated mechanisms with our clients, they just love it. So that was so easy. Well, yeah, it was, and that's a great aspect of the program.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. And I'm happy that the automation is really working for you because it's, designed to take some of that time off of your plate. So in addition to kind of that team collaboration and kind of these automated capabilities, I know, the kind of that last vital aspect of your firm is going to be managing that billing and payments. In a practice like yours covers multiple practice areas. I would imagine some of them see a significantly higher volume of cases than others. You've mentioned kind of how efficient billing and payment processes are important. Can you talk about the ways, PracticePanther and maybe Panther Payments specifically have helped these processes and maintain kind of your steady cash flow?
Yeah, so customization is key, right? And customization across the board with PracticePanther is key, whether it's adjusting the tags that you put on a contact or on a matter, but especially with billing when I'm entering time, because I do enter time in other parts of my practice. And of course, the other lawyers that work here really do billable hours. The ability to simply and easily enter time is wonderful, to track that time throughout the program, and to be able to go back and adjust if I mess something up or if I want to change something, or for our associates, they're going to enter every minute that they've worked on anything ever in their life, and they're going to bill 148 hours for a 2-page motion to compel discovery. And we're going to have to go in there and go, all right, folks, like this is unrealistic. Making those simple adjustments are wonderful. Being able to clearly denote the billing of the various persons in our firm, whether it's our paralegals, our legal assistants, the lawyers, the associates, the partners, whatever it might be, has been great. Because when our clients get the bill, we want to make sure that they don't have questions. Not because we just want them to pay the damn bill, but because we want them to understand why we're asking for the money we're asking for. And PracticePanther has made it very easy to do that, both with the customizable time entry headings, I guess you'll call it, whether it's, attend deposition or, research and analyze case law, whatever it is, that has made it very simple to keep it clean for our clients. Also then with Panther Payments, it's great because everything's integrated right in PracticePanther. So we generate the invoice, it shows the time, whether it's a flat fee, like I bill my criminal cases, whether it's hourly billing on the civil stuff. We generate the invoice, we ship it out directly to the client through PracticePanther. They get used to seeing this little template form, and then right in there is a link that they can click to view and pay the invoice. And so they don't have to go and they don't have to provide us a different credit card or call the firm. They certainly can pay by check. They certainly can pay by cash. There's no problem with that. But most people today just want to click a link and automatically have it deduct from their bank account or credit card or Venmo or whatever it is. They can literally just click that link right there. It's all right in front of them. We have found that we have recovered more of our ARs, and we have certainly seen the money come in faster. We haven't had to chase down as many clients, and we can set up automatic reminders to go out to our clients. So if that invoice isn't paid within 7 days, we'll ship out, automatically another reminder email through PracticePanther, and those clients get it. And a lot of times, look, they get the first one, they're working, whatever, they don't think about it. That's fine. But they're going to be reminded to pay that. And eventually we do see it come in. So it's been really great for us to capture more money on our AR end, or excuse me, AR side as much as we can.
Yeah, and it's nice to kind of get out of that bill collecting job, just sending a quick email
Oh,
reminder kind of is that nice little notification without having to pick up the phone and make those awkward phone calls with clients of, hey, you haven't paid yet, and I think those reminders are a really great way to do that.
yeah, and it's like you said, it's time. I just don't want to spend my time doing that. I don't. I'd
Mhm.
rather be on a cruise ship.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So let's kind of talk about some of these lessons you've learned over the years, and for the attorneys who are joining us today who are interested in maybe replicating some of your firm's success, what advice would you give on getting their staff really at all levels to kind of fully embrace and effectively use practice management software like PracticePanther?
It's going to make everybody's life easier. You have to invest the time up front. Well, first of all, stop kidding yourself. Pay the money and get a program. You need the program. It is going to revolutionize the way that your firm runs, period. Whether there's one of you, two of you, or 18 of you, it is going to make a difference. That's number one. Number two is invest the time up front to get everybody on board. Practice Panther does a great job. They will give you trainings. They will send you the tutorial videos. When we first got Practice Panther, we all sat in a room and we watched the videos together. We all watched them together and took notes as we were going. We'd stop them, we'd rewind them so that we all had a general understanding of it. You can always go back and rewatch them, but the tutorial videos are phenomenal at explaining how the various aspects of the platform work. Take the time initially to build out the templates, build out the platforms and the structures and the workflows that work for your firm how you want them. We talked a little bit about customization, but that's one of the greatest things about Practice Panther is you can make it look however you want for your firm. So however you do things, it's going to do it for you. But take the time, take the few days out of your incredibly busy schedule to build that out and bring your team in to help you with that process. We brought our team in to build out our workflows so that we could say, what do you think is a good thing to put here? Where do you think we should go next? And in doing that, they had buy-in to the platform and were excited to get used to it and using it. And we still ask them, what can we change? Because as they're going through this and as they, work through this, they go, it'd be really good if we did it this way instead. Or I would love to see how many cases we have that fall under this classification. So we would add a new tag for the matters. So utilize your team in building out the program up front and then continually monitor it and continue to advance your use of PracticePanther moving forward because progress is key to efficiency.
Absolutely. And I love how you say kind of include your staff. There are many things that they may touch on a daily basis that they're going to have that insight in and have that extra buy-in and gets them excited about using it and how they can really benefit that ultimate, the bottom line and the goals of the firm. They're actually contributing to what you're doing. And I think that's huge for buy-in and getting people on board. So
Couldn't agree more.
yeah, and I know that, Practice Panther supports your firm across several different practice areas. Kind of for my last question, would you say there are features that you really that benefit other areas of your firm? You kind of touched on that briefly, and I didn't know if, how you're using maybe Practice Panther within other areas, to your knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the workflows probably work best with some of the civil cases, even more so than the criminal cases. Criminal cases are a little bit more fluid, as we all know, depending on the case. It's more case specific. I think we have a general workflow that we work with, but with the family law cases, with our probate cases, the workflows work really well to those checklists. Has the financial affidavit been done? Have this notice of creditors, or I'm using words, by the way, that I have no idea what they mean. I just hear by other people talk about them. But has this been sent out? I don't know what it is. But generally, the workflows have worked really well in those areas of law to kind of track what has been done and what needs to be done. We use it again in criminal to some extent, but with the civil side, the workflows have been great. The templates as far as the e-signature stuff, that's just been wonderful across the board. Billable hours again on the civil side has been great, and the invoicing capabilities in that regard is great. One thing I also love is you can, in PracticePanther, again going back to customization, adjust various hourly rates for different cases. So example, I bill my JAC cases hourly sometimes when it's a RICO case or a PBL. I have a special setting where I just have to click a button and it will automatically generate to that hourly rate. So I don't have to constantly go and change it every time I do a time entry. So that type of customization, although small, makes a huge difference because every second or every minute adds up as far as time save.
Awesome. That's really great to hear. And once again, I really appreciate, you joining us for this conversation. using your insights. I did want to kind of highlight some of those tangible takeaways, particularly in how they align with our goal, even at PracticePanther, and that's to help law firms like Haber Blank operate as efficiently as possible. So I was actually fortunate enough to get some early insights into some of these topics that you're going to cover today, and wanted to kind of summarize a few of those key things. And I wanted to kind of quickly reshare my slide to kind of highlight some of those things that we talked about, and how PracticePanther, what our approach is, and how we want to provide other law firms to help them make the most of our software. And I know another big thing, because as you mentioned, is that support, whether it comes from tutorials or whether it comes from our actual kind of one-on-one conversation with our team, you have access to us all the time. And so when it comes to kind of managing some of these complex cases, there are a few, features that mattered to you, especially kind of around that automation, making it so easy. And so one of the things that I definitely wanted to talk about were those intake forms when it comes to that automation. Several benefits to kind of highlight with those is, as Jason mentioned, that ease of use, no coding required to build these forms. They're simple drag and drop fields, making it easy to learn and easy to use moving forward. And these fields offer a variety of customization. You can do, fill in the blank. There are drop downs, there are checklists, include dates that are maybe relevant. You get to choose the questions to ask your leads or your clients that specifically reflect the needs of your firm. And so that time-saving automation is a major benefit in building these forms, because once one's completed, you add it to your website, you send it out to a lead or a client via email or a text. Our system will automatically create those new contacts, create those new matters, or even update existing records, so that that direct client input really kind of reduces the manual data entry, which I'm sure everybody wants to get out of, finding out what somebody wrote out on a PDF form and transferring it to their practice management software. And so when you use our forms, you can actually even use them for more than intake. I've seen customers use them for questionnaires, for demographic updates, and even client feedback. So there's some really cool ways to use those forms. That next feature really is about the notes that I know we talked about multiple times, for matters and contacts. And notes can be added to any contact, any matter, and help you kind of better organize and reference your information. Couple really cool things about the notes is they can be formatted how you need: bold, italic, hyperlinked. You can create bullet lists. And for those of you who might be a little bit more of an avid coder, you can even generate notes in HTML, which is kind of a next level way to kind of engage your firm. They can also be set to private for just yourself, or public, and then maybe you want to share them with your whole team. And then if you need to make edits, that's no problem either, because there are easy edit buttons kind of throughout the software to make those changes. And I know Jason kind of touched on that a couple different times, how you can make those edits as you need live. You can categorize notes by adding tags, and that helps with organization and searching. And you can even upload those files, as Jason mentioned, Word, Excel, JPEG, PNG, PDF, all of them are easily uploadable, and upload multiples if you have several forms. Building on this efficiency, kind of last thing I wanted to mention around time entries, and when that's needed, you can actually assign a time entry to unique notes, and that, whether you're billing it or not billing it, it helps you keep track and analyze the time spent with each case. And then kind of that last one is going to be on the searching and tagging capabilities. And, after you create those important notes, you got to be able to find them and reference them. And so tags allow you to kind of categorize your contacts and your matters using those custom keywords. I've seen customers use, tags that note their high value clients. Maybe they're clients that have persistent payment issues, and they know that they kind of need to have a different workflow for those clients. Maybe the litigation requirements, or even for those of you who have multiple practice areas, a way to cross-sell your firm. Do these client also need to know about your estate planning needs? Do they also need to know about maybe a business expansion or something like that? So a great way to kind of maybe even cross-sell. The next one is going to be kind of around that communication and collaboration, which was kind of a key area we talked about. And a couple of ones that I wanted to highlight here is really around the cloud. And they're specifically using cloud-based software for 3 reasons. And it overall improves your security. Cybercrime is a real threat these days, and the cloud is more secure and cost efficient than many on-premise solutions. We offer a 2-factor authentication, and then we even have those customized security settings, which allows firms to really limit the access to certain areas of the firm's information if that's needed. Your cloud-based solutions support that hybrid work that Jason mentioned, whether you're in the office or on the go. And then lastly, it's super easy for streamlined billing and online payments. Your clients are already using these online services for virtually everything, grocery shopping, accessing medical bills, paying their mortgage. I know that's one big one that I use. They're looking for that same digital experience from their lawyers, and cloud-based software makes that simple. Another one that kind of stands out were the tasks and the workflows that Jason mentioned. And, most of them just several clicks and you're completed and have already assigned things to the correct team member, or maybe even multiple team members. You can have those automatic notifications and reminders that can be easily set up and remind whether it's a client, whether it's a staff member, something that comes up or something that's slightly overdue. There are multiple different reminders you can kind of set. And even if you do happen to use our client portal, tasks can be assigned directly to clients in that portal, and kind of minimizes the need of that back and forth between you and your clients. They already know what kind of needs to be happening next. And then finally, kind of those direct messages. It's just another way to kind of stay out of your email for just those quick references. Maybe you have a simple question to ask your team. It's located in the bottom right-hand corner of the platform, and you can instantly message updates to staff. Is someone out sick? You need to let somebody know. Inform if a staff member will even be in the office today, or maybe you just need to brainstorm something real quick in real time. Direct messages is kind of another way to do that. And then finally, we have payments are going to be a popular thing that we kind of really wrapped the conversation with. And as I mentioned, it's becoming more popular than ever. Almost gone are the days of checks. I can't tell you the last time I wrote and mailed a check to anybody. And almost 40% of clients would actually consider not using a firm that doesn't accept some sort of e-payment option, which I find to be pretty interesting stat from the ABA. PracticePanther and our Panther Payments is built directly into the platform. And so we offer that seamless experience. We find our customers love it because, as Jason mentioned, they get paid faster. We find up to 70% faster for their clients receiving payments, which is awesome. You should be getting paid for the hard work you're putting in. Having kind of this all-in-one system, it's an easy to read dashboard, as you can see on the screen, where the important payments are being made, what still needs to be paid. We all want to make it very seamless and easy for our customers to understand. And finally, one of those most important parts, when it comes to compliance, Panther Payments has you covered. It meets all IOLTA, ABA, state bar guidelines for accepting those online payments, which is really important. And so that kind of really wraps our discussion. We've dived into some great features, and we spent the lunch hour really chatting with Jason about kind of the way he uses it for your firm. And so if you're curious to see how the software works in action, we wanted to make it easy for you to book kind of a personalized demo here with one of our practice management specialists.
It won't be me. It won't be.
Well, we can see about a plug maybe.
All right.
We'll be thrilled to give you a tour. So yeah, definitely kind of reach out to us. Answer any questions. You might have some very specific questions about your practice. We can help address those, any challenges that you might be facing. So you can quickly scan this QR code, and reminded, if you have an opportunity, you want to ask a couple of quick questions, that's open as well. We'd love to kind of answer those. And then finally, the last plug of the day, I really wanted to take a moment and really talk about the FACDL again. If you're in the Florida area, I highly recommend checking them out. It's a great organization. Jason, I didn't know if there's anything specific you wanted to chat about.
Oh, it's the largest voluntary bar association representing criminal defense lawyers, both public and private, at the federal and state level. We do a lot of work in the legislature and with the courts to make sure that your lives are easier and our representation of our clients is the way it should be. So I highly encourage you to check out. If you're not a member, definitely join them. The benefits are enormous.
Absolutely. And we definitely see ourselves engaging with the FACDL a lot more. This QR code will take you directly to their site. You can also go to facdl.org, learn all about their information, how to become a member, cool events that they have coming up, and CLEs and webinars that you can take part in. So that's something I definitely wanted to highlight. And the final is, connect with Jason and I. We're both on LinkedIn. Follow us, connect with us, and let us know that you met us during this presentation. We'd love to kind of interact with you in that way.
And I don't use LinkedIn really as much as I should, so I'm looking to be better about that. So that's a great way to do it. If you want to reach out to me there, or feel free to shoot me an email.
Awesome. Well, I, again, really appreciate your time, Jason. I know your lunch hour is busy. I know your day is busy. So to spend it with us, it means a lot to me. So thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity, Libby. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope everybody has a great Friday, great Thursday, rest of your weekend, and enjoy that holiday.